This is the Dugout, my current favorite duo trio base. It starts off as a completely standard 2x1 with an airlock, and once you're committed to an area, it easily expands into your main base. It has a meta compound with loads of Patrico peaks, bedrooms to respawn in and rekit in, and barricade funnel sections to catch grubs and raiders off guard. Even though the footprint is tiny, the spacious second floor makes you feel like you're living out of a base that's way bigger than this. It can have up to 22 beds to respawn in, ensuring that you never lose a raid or that you can get back to fights quickly. The roof and compound turrets are both protected with chain link, making them way more expensive to destroy with HV rockets, buying you precious time. And of course, no chat-approved base would be complete without a shooting floor that leaves absolutely no blind spots in your compound. Oh, and nothing in this entire base requires any build-outs at all, making it incredibly easy to build. It can be built entirely single TC, or later in the video, I'll show you how to add completely optional external TCs with an additional 14 rockets worth of hidden storage space. This is my new favorite duo trio base, and it only exists because Coma hit me up and needed a new go-to base for his wipes. Ladies and gentlemen, the Giga Chat himself, Coma.
This base is everything I wanted. It starts as a 2x1, it's easy to build, and it's cheap enough that I can build it solo. But it's spacious enough that I can play with a couple of teammates. And it has everything that I need to defend against some insane online raids. So if you want to play Rust like me, make sure you stick around and watch the rest of the video.
As you can see, the build cost and upkeep fits right into that duo trio range, and dedicated solos could easily build this. Now let's go take a look around your new base design. Starting off our tour, we can see that this is the 3TC version that uses 2 externals, but in the video I'll show you how to build this and the single TC version. Both of our externals are the standard mini Satori disconnectables, so placing a roof right here will disconnect it. In the event that you get raided, this will allow you to replace your main TC, and then to reconnect it, we just replace the floor frame. The internal layout is slightly different than usual to allow you to place a small box next to the TC. This will give you 7 rockets of protection on either external TC to spread some of your loot overnight. I've personally never seen external TCs get hit in an offline raid. This gives you the benefit of bunkered external TCs without having to do any of the build outs. The only disadvantage is that you'll need the blueprints. Heading over to either of our 2 gatehouses, you can see a window for visibility, and I would use a window door skin for visibility on the other side. We also treat these as bedrooms. You can put 1 or 2 beds in either of these. And we have amazing Patrico peaks that line up perfectly with our furnace funnels. The half walls are on the inside, so then when the walls are breached, we can see the breach itself. The rest of compound is covered perfectly by turrets. And heading into our compound, we can see a bunch of barricade funnel sections that hide the shotgun traps and make it nearly impossible for anybody to make their way around your compound. We also have them on the furnace funnel instead of a full furnace wall to give people an easy way to walk into the compound after the walls are breached directly into a funneled shotgun trap. We also have 2 compound bedrooms that again have perfect Patrico peaks that line up with our furnace funnel and have turrets with chain link on top of them. You can see the turrets on the gatehouses themselves also have chain link that wrap all the way around them, making them incredibly annoying to deal with during a raid. Heading in our main entrance to the base, you can see additional Patrico peaks that again line up perfectly with the furnace wall and also have some barrels on top for extra storage. And if we jump up into our main second floor core, we can see that this is super spacious, even though it takes advantage of every inch of the footprint. This is a small base with a big base feel, which makes it ideal for people who don't want to farm but want that experience. And you can see it starts as a completely standard 2x1 with an airlock, meaning that you can expand the base that you've already put down into this full main base. You might think the battery being in starter is a little strange, but it's actually 3 walls in a side raid and 23 rockets from the ideal angle. If we make our way up either of the 2 jump ups to our bedroom floor, you can see that we have a couple of beds here as well as 4 lockers. We also have 2 single door airlocks that head out into additional bedrooms that share some box storage between multiple bedrooms, allowing you to stock one place and rekit in multiple. You can see we have Patrico peaks here that again perfectly overlook the furnace funnel. You can see that these bedrooms are also set up to have peaks into core though, which means in a side pummel you're able to actually hold the breach on the outside and the inside of the base at the same time. Before we head up to the roof, we can see that we have an early game roof peak right here for before we have turrets. And then on the other side, we have a standard jump up to the roof. Up here we have 4 turrets, 2 of them are covered by chain link, and then some incredible shooting floor angles down into our compound. There are absolutely no blind spots, and everything is perfectly aligned with the furnace funnels on all 4 sides of the base. And again, remember that this shooting floor doesn't require any build outs at all. We also have 2 more bedrooms over here behind the chain link that again share this large box with the bedroom below, so you can stock one place up and respawn in either. You also get really great long angles from the windows in here, and all of this makes up the dugout. Like I've said, the dugout starts as a completely standard 2x1 with an airlock, so I'm going to show you how I build it, but if you've already got one, that works too. I prefer to put my airlock on this side of the base. We'll go ahead and wall in the perimeter. Make sure when you put these doors on that the inside door faces out to create an airlock. Then we'll go ahead and place our TC in the back right corner. Heading to the outside of the base, we can build this twig build-up to place a shelf next to our TC. Then we can get a double door frame down that we can put a double door on for now and upgrade to a garage door later. If you have the Frontier Barrel DLC, you can actually fit more large boxes than just these 4 or 5, but I'm showing this just so then everybody can follow along. Also, always lock your TC. Go ahead and place our tier 1 and tier 2 workbench right next to the door along this wall. And remember, with the tier 2, you can place 2 small boxes under it. And to the left of that, we can place 3 furnaces. Oh, and always make sure you use the dust garage door skin. It takes extra rockets to break. That's definitely true, and I'm not lying. We can place a couple of bags down right here, and then follow that up with our final large box and a campfire. Feel free to sub any of this out with however you prefer to lay out your 2x1s. And with that, the starter is completely done. By this point, you're probably looking for a little bit more storage space, so go ahead and put down the foundations for standard honeycomb on a 2x1. The foundations should look just like this, and just follow how I honeycomb. You should have 2 open triangles like this, and off of each of those we'll build a square. We can put a couple window frames and a double door frame. If you don't have a window BP yet, that's totally fine, just put window bars on. Make sure you don't place a door frame here though, because a wall will go here eventually. And the ceiling tile we can keep in wood because we'll machete it out when we're ready to expand into our second floor. We'll repeat the same steps on the other side, except we won't put a wood ceiling. Instead, we'll just build a normal half-height jump up. This will eventually be the front door to our main base. Overall, it should look just like this, and then we can come to each of the 4 sides of the base and just do honeycomb with squares. After you've done this side, make sure you do the same thing on the other side. Also, if you guys get any value out of these videos, please make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe. And this will give us our final footprint for the entire main base. That's it. That's as big as it gets. Heading over to each of the triangles here, we'll place 2 half walls and leave the top one in wood. This will eventually be our second floor peaks, but until we have that section sealed behind it, we don't want to just have a low wall opening up into our second floor. Now at this point, we can just put walls around the entire perimeter of this floor. And we'll go ahead and put a ceiling on everything except for the 2 single triangle sections. Those will be our jump ups to the bedroom floor. Then on each of those single triangle sections, just build a standard jump up. I'm going to use a double door instead of a garage door here, so then people can't go deep from the roof because there's no airlock. Then just repeat the same thing on the other side. And if you're still here almost 10 minutes in, comment below the chemical that makes carrots orange. To the right of each one of these triangles, we'll place a full wall. The one that goes down into our starter, make sure the hard side is facing out. And now that the second floor is sealed up, we can go ahead and take a machete and start chopping out the ceiling. Once that's done, we'll place a full wall here to seal off this entrance. After this point, this square will just be a compound bedroom. So our second floor is all sealed off, and now we're using this square right here as our main entrance. So we better start taking advantage of all of this new space. We'll build out 4 loot rooms here that use backward ramps, so then if somebody rockets in through the outside walls, they'll have to break the ramps to make their way through. I've seen people who place the ramps the other way, and that's actually wrong because then they can just crouch in through the sides. They have to be facing back towards you. After we have all of those loot rooms built out, I'm putting double door frames on everything, and we'll just spam garage doors. Next, I'm placing down all of the boxes for our loot rooms. The bottom ones are super easy to place, and they place exactly how you would expect. The top ones are also easy to place, but you just have to put a little piece of twig in front of the loot room to temporarily stand on like this, but they're still really easy to place. If you value loot storage space over the additional time and security that the backwards ramps give you, you can always just build standard 6-box loot rooms or min-max them with the frontier barrels. It's entirely up to you. These bases should always serve as inspiration and a starting point, but if there's something that makes it better for you and your group, always feel free to do it. You can see it's super easy to access the boxes through the ramps as well. Next up, we need some dedicated places to respawn, so pick up this double door and make your way up this jump up. We'll build a standard jump up at the top, but just make sure that you leave the very top of it open. Then we can place garage doors on each socket. And congratulations, the entire base is never mind. We'll head over to each of these square sections and start by building up a half height. Then place 3 window frames on top. We'll put a ceiling on this and a single door frame as an entrance to it. We can put triangle frames on either side. Feel free to toss a couple of beds in here now or later. You can also do a bed in a box or a bed in a locker. Totally up to you. Put horizontal embrasures on the inside and a glass window over the front. And we'll go ahead and repeat the same steps on the other side. You know, I have a couple of cats. Do you have any pets? Also, I don't really promote my Discord too often, but if you guys are looking for a place to hang out, ask building questions, or just get general feedback on a base, make sure to go to discord.gg/dust. We have over 5,500 members, and we're growing every day. And there we go, we've got the second bedroom done. Next, we can wall in a standard honeycomb 2x1 footprint here, and just leave the squares out for now. Then we'll put a ceiling on this entire section. And on the other side, instead of a normal jump up, we'll put a single door frame here to use as an early roof peak. Just build a couple of full walls on the back side and place a ceiling tile on the very top and off the single door frame. It should look just like this. We can then build a standard jump up on the other side with a half height shelf as well. We'll slap a double door frame on this and a garage door. To finish off the interior of our bedroom floor, we'll go ahead and make single door airlocks going out to each of these bed pods. And then in each of these triangles, we can place a locker with either a window frame over it or a single door. The window is a little more secure and the single door is a little bit easier to access. After we've got that down, we can place down garage doors on any missing sockets. And to finish up this floor, we can place a couple more beds down in the middle and a couple more lockers if you want to in front of the single doors. And there we go, the bedroom floor is complete. I've gone ahead and upgraded everything to its final grade just to save some time. Most things get upgraded to sheet metal except for single door frames, double door frames, and window frames. And the core 2x1 is upgraded to HQM. To start building our roof bedrooms, we'll place 3 window frames with 3 half walls on top. Put a ceiling on the bedroom and a triangle right here for a turret. We can put a chain link gate here to help mitigate the damage that HV rockets do. And I have two-way symmetry on, so just make sure you do the same on the other side. For deployables on the inside, we can place down a large box that can be accessed by this bedroom and the one below it, as well as a bed, a couple of horizontal embrasures on the sides, and a window on the front. And there we go, that wraps up the bedrooms on the roof. The next thing to do is build the supports for the shooting floor itself. Place a couple triangle foundations in these empty spots here and build up 3 frames high, and then match the height on the square next to it. Then just repeat the same thing on the other side. Next, we'll come to the squares that have either our entrance or compound bedroom and build some Patrico peaks by placing 2 half-height walls here and deleting the bottom one. We'll then build 2 frames off the top of that. Repeat that 3 more times on the other sides of the base. Eventually, our barricade funnel sections with shotgun traps will go in these. After you've done that on every side of the base, the frame should be built up to the same height as the roof. You can see we have that on all 4 corners of the base. One thing to note is that using the build out that I do right here, you have these little corners that stick into your jump up. They don't block you from jumping up, but they do make it a little more annoying. So you can use this alternate approach too if you prefer. The compound angles are pretty comparable, so it's really up to you. Then to finish off each of these sections, we'll place a window frame in the middle with 2 half walls on either side that have triangle roof ramps off of them. And it should look something like this. Next, what we can do is place our wind turbines on the top of our bedroom sections right here. And if you want a little bit more power, you can always feel free to build them up with some frames. They're super easy to place and super easy to get to after they're placed. On top of the window frames, we can place these roof tiles, but we have to do this after the wind turbine is already placed. Otherwise, it blocks the turbine placement. I don't know why, don't blame me. Congratulations, you have built the entire core of the base. We'll start building our compound by coming to each of these doors and building off 2 squares with 2 triangles on either side. We'll add a triangle to the end as well for an airlock. We'll place a single door airlock on the outside and fill in the deployables. And then we can either use full walls here or a couple of window frames. Full walls just make it easier to seal in the early game. We can place a couple window frames down on the inside with some horizontal embrasures and a double door in between them. And then on these remaining triangle foundations, we'll build a half wall and a floor tile to complete the Patrico peak. On the top of the gatehouse, we'll build up with some half walls to create a turret pod. And you can either place 1 turret on either triangle, or I just like to place 1 in the middle to save some resources. Place a temporary piece of twig right here to reconnect the gate back to the main base. This also surrounds the turret with chain link instead of just having it on the direct sides. These sections are our barricade funnel sections, so we'll start by placing the stone barricade like this, and then a shotgun trap on the inside. Using some of the DLC skins can actually make the foundation a little bit wider and easier to place on, but it's totally doable on stone just like this. On the inside of the gatehouse, we can place a couple small boxes to use the Patrico peaks with, as well as a bed or 2. It's totally up to you and the team size that you're playing in. And I know I've asked you guys a couple times in this video already, but it really does make a huge difference when you guys like and subscribe to the channel, so I would really appreciate it. The last thing to do here is to place some temporary twig on either side and place a couple of barricades. And once you have this gate section done, just go back and repeat the exact same steps on the other side. And keep in mind, both of these gatehouses are upkept by the main TC. Next up, we'll build the compound bed pods. Build 2 triangles with a square off the end, and then remove the 2 triangles. After that, we'll put 2 triangles on either side of the bed pod, and we'll do a simplified version of the gatehouse. The only difference is that this won't lead outside, it'll just have a wall where the airlock used to be. We'll get our double door on with a couple horizontal embrasures on the inside before building up a half wall and a ceiling tile to create the Patrico peaks on the outside. And we'll build the same half height offset on the top for our turret pod. And again, you can either put 1 or 2 turrets on each of these. The difference with this gatehouse is that the chain link won't wrap all the way around and connect to the main base. It'll just be on the outside here. Then we can get our barricades on the top. Now at this point, we have a decision to make. These compound bed pods can either be attached to the main TC or have externals of their own, giving you additional grief protection and offline raid protection. You can see we can simply use 3 triangle floor frames to reconnect the gatehouse to the main base if that's what you prefer. If you want to build some external TCs, you can use any design that you like, but I'll show you the standard mini Satori design by building out 4 squares and ending with 3 triangles. We'll upgrade these 2 to sheet metal, and then we can get rid of the twig build out. We'll place 2 half walls right here to make sure that our disconnect works, and then we'll enclose the section where the TC goes. I'm placing the TC at the very back corner, so then we can fit a small box easily in front of it. Make sure your garage door is facing outward so it covers that small box. And then we'll put a single door on the last triangle. You can put some extra backup batteries out here as well. And just like that, we have almost all the benefits of a bunkered external without having to do any complicated freehands. The last thing we have to do here is connect the external TC to the compound bed pod with some floor frames. I'm also upgrading this wall and foundation that it's connected to sheet metal as well. The inside of this bed pod can get a couple small boxes, lockers, and beds. You could also use frontier barrels if you have that DLC. This entire side is complete, so just make sure that you repeat the same steps on the other side of the base. And now we're ready to put a compound on this. There's no special lineup here, just make sure that you alt look to see that the gap is about right. It doesn't have to be super perfect at all, and it's super easy to place the 2 walls that are required per section. After we've got all of those down, I've found it super easy to just kind of stand up on this frame and place your large furnaces nice and high. I'm making sure that there's no gap on one side and enough gap on the other so then we can create a furnace funnel. We'll go ahead and repeat the same steps to place these barricades and shotgun traps on both sides of the compound bed pod, so then if raiders blow those high walls and try making their way inside the compound, they'll walk right into them. Congratulations, you've built the Dugout, the official base of Coma. I hope you have a ton of amazing wipes out of this base, and if you made it this far in the video, make sure that you comment that Coma owes me for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one.